Today I'm going to take you through some of the thinking of the brightest minds of BMC software who will share with you what excites them. Today we have Lorna Russell and Peter Adams. Lorna, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to join today.
It's great to have you here. Why don't you share with us a little bit your background? How long you've been with BMC? What did you do before? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. I've been with BMC now a little over a year. I worked for a company called Numara prior to BMC, and we were uh, uh, acquired in February 2012. I've been doing product management for about 15 years, and this is actually my second career in my life.
Really?
Before that, I had a graduate degree in applied anthropology, and I was an archaeologist for about 5 years until I learned that I couldn't raise a family on $8 an hour, and went back to school, got my MBA, and here I am.
You're an archaeologist, and you left that despite the money. That's like the
It's
coolest job.
just a fantastic job. But the great thing about anthropology and archaeology is it can be a hobby, not just a career. So I can always go back and volunteer on a dig. And when I retire, I plan to go back to it.
You start to sound like my dad now, by the way. And Peter Adams, my good friend.
Hey, Alf, how's it going?
Good to have you here. I don't think we've ever done this before. How long have you been with BMC, by the way?
I joined BMC in 2008, actually initially in the server automation group, and joined then the Remedy ITSM team in 2009. I've been doing product management and IT management for about 15 years as well, roughly, as Lorna, but again joined BMC about 5 years ago.
And then, have you been an archaeologist, or have you had a secret career?
No, not really, not really. I worked in R&D before, so have a computer science background, and then through that I came into product management. But
having spent so much time in IT, I think you agree with me that there is a little bit of a renaissance. I've been for a few years. There's the cloud, there's mobility, there's gamification, there's a social this, social that. What excites you right now about IT? What is it that when you read it or talk about it gets your heart pumping?
Well, first of all, just the fact that there is so much innovation right now excites me. I mean, we used to think that service desk, is an area that is stable. What much can you do around, writing down ticket information and assigning to someone, and it was seen as a very mature space, and just the enormous amount of innovation that we see these days through social collaboration, just understanding, how important it is to understand how people work together to solve problems more quickly, and all those more social aspects of service desk, the analytics behind it, different types of UI concepts. I mean, there's so much innovation going on right now. It's amazing.
It's actually hard to keep up with, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really hard to keep up with all of the things that are going on in the world right now around innovation. I admit I'm a TED junkie, and I'm watching a TED video every day and learning something new, and growing concerned about new things and being excited about new things, because there's so much going on right now. I'm particularly excited about our space, ITSM, because I do see us moving out of kind of the staid old business to business mentality, and being more open to things that are happening on the consumer side of the world. I must admit, I'm an online gamer. I love online games. And online gaming has been challenged with things probably 10 years ago that we are just starting to address in the business to business world. I'll give you an example. So back in the day, I'm not going to reveal how old I am, but gaming had these really heavy client-side games with pixelated video, or if any video at all, or it was completely text driven. And as demand for those games grew, it became apparent that this heavy client-side application approach just wasn't going to work. So the gaming industry moved to more of a server-side approach to presenting games, which then opened the doors to online gaming. And once you had more online gaming, you had more demand for better imagery, faster performance, and so they moved to things, infrastructure that supported those increased consumer demands, like creating platforms that developed common elements of the game so that the developers could focus more on new storylines versus on a new way to blow something up, let's say in a Battlefield game or something. Yeah. And then with an increased number of people using online games, the cloud became more attractive to online gaming. And you'll see online games like even EA, which is a really big gaming company, interested in using, let's say, Amazon's cloud services and moving away from this really big, heavy server architecture that they had on site to allowing other people to handle that hardware. The problem is there's still, I think, in the gaming world, a higher expectations of performance, a lower tolerance for latency, and things are still being worked out there. But what you see is them really pushing the envelope of what cloud can do. And then business to business has always kind of followed 5 to 10 years behind that. But what's exciting about what we're doing internally now is that we're opening the door to pursuing that path and improving the experience of people so that they can receive, do their jobs in a more interesting way, a way that more closely mimics how you interact with, let's say, applications on your phone or in the gaming world. And I find that really exciting. But I guess what worries me is on the flip side, things are moving so quickly. I'm wondering if people's heads are going to explode because I don't know if business processes are ready to change as rapidly as the technology is changing.
Do you see that, Peter, isn't that a concern among many of our customers, that this whole consumerization of IT and BYOD and whatever the trend is today, it's a hard thing to manage for IT?
It is, but I think, what I've learned over the last 15 years, there's always new technology coming, right? And I think to some extent that's companies have figured out a way how to handle the technology aspects. They face that in. I think when it comes to processes, that typically takes a little bit longer. How people interact. There's the traditional, very process-oriented folks, and then the guys who support a model where you let end users handle things themselves, give away a little bit control. That's often not the traditional IT model, and that probably is a little bit harder to overcome than just the technology aspect. Right?
What about this wave of collaboration you mentioned? Do you think, or do you see that my input as an end user, as an employee who needs IT to help me, is IT listening to me through these social channels, or is it still they're not going to analyze my personal needs unless I file a real service request? Are they picking up on this social wave that's sweeping through?
Yeah, I think companies at different pace, but there are certainly companies who are really very quickly, they took the model that is already established well in the consumer space, right? All these communities are well monitored, and people react very quickly to negative comments, and I see that more and more also on the IT side. As soon as there's a negative comment, people jump on it and react very, very quickly on it, right? It's not a formal ticket, right?
I can give you a perfect example of that. I will tell you that I flew a national airline recently that has reduced the amount of legroom they have in their coach class, and I was traveling on business, had some work to do, and I literally could not open. I could open my laptop to this angle, right? So I am crunched in the seat looking down at this very tiny screen, and my husband happened to be traveling with me, took a picture of me in this ridiculous position and decided to tweet it out. So I did at whatever airlines, and literally within seconds we had or after we got off the flight, obviously, within seconds of posting my tweet, the airline responded saying, "We are so sorry, Lorna, that you had to sit in that position and work in that crunch space."
That's
Hey, Peter,
I'm not sure about you. Yeah.
I was
I
going to
was about to say
say
the same. You know, for me, that's the standard modus operandi. I'll for you as well, probably. Right?
I meditate on the planes because my body's going, this is not natural to sit in this position for 6-7 hours. No, it was interesting because the reason I want to bring up collaboration, because online gaming, which you talked about, Lorna, is it started out with guys like me playing. Well, it started in arcades, and then we managed to get Atari at home, and spending most of my nights playing Space Invaders.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, the only social interaction we had was the guy sitting next to you on the couch. But now my daughters play over or TV with people on other continents. Is this happening in the enterprise world as well? Is the tyranny of distance being swept away through these type of technologies?
It has to be. Whether it's happening or not, it has to, because companies are becoming more global. Many companies have always been global, but it's growing more and more acceptable to have a geographically dispersed workforce and with differing time zones. And it is critically important to the well-being of an organization to make sure that even though you have folks working in different parts of the world, in different time zones, that when they are working together, they're able to work together very quickly and efficiently. So it's just a reality that we have to address. I would say that we haven't done it as quickly as the consumerized products that are more consumerized, but it is something that we need to follow their pattern and make sure that in the business-to-business markets, we are providing that same level of high performance and the ability to do these jobs, people to do their jobs efficiently in the context that they need. We shouldn't specify the context that they need. And if that's through social, if that's through mobile, whatever the future thing is going to be, because something else is going to, there's going to be an improvement through artificial intelligence, or I see a big trend in more applications that are very context-driven, so you see what you need when you need it. We're going to have to be ready to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when I started working, right, and I think in some areas that may still be the case, it was so important to know someone in your own department who was kind of the IT expert, and people referred to those guys, and it was all local, next door within the department. And nowadays you basically, it's much more virtual, right? You put something out in an internal community in the enterprise, and then you'll find people all over the world who comment on it very quickly, right? It's a very different model these days.
It's interesting how quickly this wildfire spread. I mean, the example with airplane, it's quite typical nowadays. It used to be one-off, but now everybody is living like that, and it puts a lot of pressure on you, but it's also a great way to move things faster, forward at least. Among all the cool things that are happening out there, one thing that intrigues me, and I would love to hear your opinion, are robots. Hey, and it's easy to say, well, that's a bit futuristic, but if you're looking at our utilization, how quickly the adoption of drones, for example, was take place, the idea of robots in a workplace, at home, in our car, whatever, what's your take on that, Lorna?
I think that things will always change, including what robots will be used to accomplish. I think that people will still be necessary, though. So if the undertext of this question is, will people become obsolete? I don't think people are going to become obsolete. I think what people are going to find is they're going to have more pressure to do work that is more strategic and more visionary. And I think that robots would be used for things, processes and tactics that don't require a level of vision or strategy. Of course, somebody could argue that movements in artificial intelligence and helping robots to think on their own. There have been some strides in that area, but quite honestly, somebody had to come up with the algorithm to help the robot think that way. So I think that the people's roles will change. They always have through history. Whenever any new innovation becomes predominant, and I think robots kind of fall into that category. We'll make use of them where we can, but I don't think it's going to make people obsolete. Their jobs might change, their focus might change, but people are still going to be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's going to be complementary, not replacing anything today. So it's another option. I also think that I think when we talk about robots, we typically think about the physical thing, right? There's almost a man-like structure moving around or something like that. And I think that aspect for me is less relevant. It's more the intelligence and the ability to react to certain to the environment, to certain contexts, as you said, and make intelligent suggestions, and being somewhat self autonomous or intelligent in the reaction to certain activity. I think, and whether that's a software program or it's actually more likely a software program than any physical appearance, I would say. Right?
Although I hope we have some little robot women and men walking around the office bringing me my soda or saying, "Hey, Lorna, did you think of this? Oh, you're brilliant, XK9." Something like the old 1960 TV shows, where you had the robotic dog that came in with your paper, or the butler that was a robot. I love that idea. That would make work so much more fun. We need more fun in our life.
I agree, and I have to say this was one of the more fun discussions I've had here at the zoo. I really want to thank both of you for taking the time and joining me here. Hopefully we can do this again on other topics as well, but I think the idea of what's exciting and the modernity of IT seems to be something there is more to be talked about. So thank you very much for your time, both Lorna and Peter.
Thank you, Alf. Bye, Peter. Bye, Alf.
Bye-bye.
For the rest of you, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.